Social media sites under fire for the escalating presence of Islamic terrorism on their platforms. Tashfeen Mali, the shooter who helped kill 14 of her husband's colleagues and injured 21, took to Facebook to swear her allegiance to ISIS. And after the shooting, scores of ISIS supporters actually celebrated her action on Twitter with a disturbing hashtag, America Burning. So why aren't these sites like Twitter and Facebook doing more to police their services? And if they did, could this tragedy have ever happened in the first place? We've got expert analysis from Nick Glavin, a researcher at the U.S. Naval War College, and cybersecurity analyst Morgan Wright, who authored the Justice Department's largest information sharing program in the United States. Good to have both of you here. Morgan, I'll start with you. What kind of difference would it have made if all the social media companies out there were immediately reporting ISIS sympathizers?
You know, you hope that it would make a difference. The challenge would be is, can we narrow it down to where something is actionable? Look, there's a lot of stuff out there. I was speaking at a terrorism conference in Atlanta 24 hours before Paris happened. We were talking about this exact same thing. ISIS has over 30,000 social media accounts of various flavors, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. So what we have to do is, everybody talks about looking for the needle in the haystack. You know, different approach. Get the right kind of intelligence. Quit trying to make the haystack smaller. Start using a bigger magnet. And these companies have got to get on board. They worked on child pornography. They worked on human trafficking. We've done stuff with money laundering. This is not an insurmountable problem. It just takes a little bit of political will. And they're going to have to get on board, because if this doesn't get them moving, what will?
Well, Nick, do you think they will get on board? I mean, they've had an opportunity to do so. Is this effectively, you know, the point of no return, where they can't walk away from this one and continue to just say, well, you know, this isn't our problem?
Well, Trish, thanks for having me. I mean, it's no question things have to be done about this. And the question becomes, should social media companies be the ones doing counter messaging, you know, removing all these accounts? And in part, yes, they should be removing some of these accounts, but they are not counter messengers. So we need to focus on public-private partnerships and grassroots campaigns to be able to use the platforms themselves as a way to delegitimize ISIS and focus on reducing the demand for online extremism. But these platforms have been doing some things against violent extremism, such as Twitter has a robust suspension campaign after the U.S.-led coalition began last year. Facebook and YouTube have updated their privacy regulations and their terms of service to respond to extremism being put on their platforms. And the platform du jour here is Telegram and these encrypted technologies that ISIS fighters, recruiters, sympathizers are flocking to as these suspension campaigns.
Well, the encrypted stuff is a problem. You know, Nick, I've made the point before on the show that, you know, part of winning World War II was cracking Enigma, and the Allies managed to do that. And here in this case, American technology, in many cases, is helping to provide the encryption that our enemies are using. And there seems something that really quite messed up with all that.
Yeah, and Trish, look,
go ahead, Nick.
You're absolutely right, Trish. These platforms are designed to protect privacy, and bad actors will exploit them, as they have been. These allow for the bad actors, insurgents, whatnot, to be just outside the reach of intelligence and law enforcement agencies to intercept and monitor their communications.
Okay, so we got a problem. Morgan, what do we do?
Look, this is not an easy thing. This is a pendulum. Everybody thinks that there's a simple answer. There's not. You know, we were talking about during World War II. The pendulum swung one way, and we were willing to give up a certain amount of privacy for security. Afterwards, when you're in a post-war, you know, people want more privacy than they do security. We're going to go through these same debates, but I'll tell you, one of the biggest debates is going to be between Silicon Valley, the government, and law enforcement, because when the wolf comes knocking at the door, and the wolf has and the wolf will again, people are going to say, why didn't you stop it? And the more that law enforcement and the intelligence community is constrained from doing it, the tougher it will be. You cannot disrupt an attack. You cannot detect. So somewhere we've got to figure out how to keep this pendulum moving to where we achieve that squishy middle that everybody's comfortable with it, but it cannot be absolute encryption on one side, and it cannot be absolute invasion of privacy on the other. It's going to take some while, but it's not insurmountable.
Look, if I were Mark Zuckerberg, I would be wanting
Put $1 billion behind it and
Sure.
solve it.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's got the money. Absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Good to have you here. An important conversation. We're going to keep having it right here on the Intelligence Report, everyone.